a goal, Quishbilly Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Thank you.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Oh, we do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, we do like to be beside the sea. That is, of course, unless you're a Huddersfield Town fan. Hello and welcome to the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. This weekend, 1,600 hardy souls made the pilgrimage down to the Pilgrims and saw Huddersfield Town lose 3-1 to newly promoted Plymouth Argyle. We'll analyse the game and look into the stories and talking points around the club and introduce a couple of new features for the new season as well. On account of his social media activity, the Ginger Ogre, or Ginger Salman Rushdie as he is now known in some circles, has had to go into hiding after an altercation with Town's new owner Kevin Nagle. So in his stead, you've got myself, Matt Shaw, as host alongside TTC stalwart Richard Kozikosmala. And joining us this week as a special guest, we have BBC West Yorkshire Sport co-expert, summariser and chair of the Mark Fotheringham fan club. It's Matt Glennon. How are we doing, guys?
Good evening. Not too bad. Just about recovered.
Good to see you, Matt. Good to see you. It's been a while, hasn't it, on one of these? Right, so this podcast is sponsored by the lovely Magic Rock Brewing again this season. The sun will be out momentarily, I'm sure, on Saturday. So get yourselves down to Magic Rock before the Leicester game and enjoy some liquid refreshment. If you get hooked and want to order some more online for home, then use our code of AHTTC10 for 10% off all online orders, and we'll see you there on Saturday.
Thursday. Never mind Saturday, mate. We'll come on
Thursday.
to that
I've got that queued up for later. He's wrecked my agenda already with his first things.
Get drunk on Thursday and Saturday. Come on.
Exactly. Just book a hotel there. Why not? So let's look at the match then. So Plymouth Argyle 3, Huddersfield Town 1. I might be being a touch controversial here to some people, but I actually thought on the whole we played quite well. It was just a lack of quality really in the final third, which did for us. However, Mr. Glennon, from the Premier League down to the Heavy Woolen Gate Sunday Alliance League, you'll hear the away players saying in unison every week, keep it tight, first 10, 15, don't do anything silly. And here we go, 6 minutes into the new season, we're 1-0 down.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I think people need to remember as well, there was an absolute gale blowing into Lee Nichols' face. It was very, very tough to defend at the weekend. There was,
should have seen my hair, mate.
I'm not giving... What?
My hair was all over the place. You'd have had a good time at that.
Yeah, flapping all over the place. Yeah, it was a bit tricky. So it was always my back's against the wall in the first half. I just thought decision making was poor. But like you, I thought they actually had some good moments in the game, and I thought there was some really good points. I didn't expect to be talking about defending today, if I'm being honest. I expected to talk about creativity up front, lack of pace, maybe in the side. I didn't expect to be talking about the mainstays in the team that maybe could have done, well, not maybe, should have done better for the goal. So, 6 minutes in, Lee Nichols, Hellick decide they're going to be gentlemen and leave it for each other, which obviously wasn't the right thing to do. And, you're 1-0 down. But after that, they got themselves back into it in the 150th minute of the first half. And they managed to get level again. And then, obviously, second half, it all went wrong.
Cozzy, the throw-in, it's not the best initial clearance, is it, by Roman Edmonds-Green? Nichols, I was behind the goal and Nichols shouts for it, which is why Hellick kind of wobbles underneath it. Or there's a shout from Lee Nichols. I'm not 100% sure it's his keepers.
If you chuck
he definitely shouts. I know. I'm a member. I'll have to ask Lee Nichols himself. We'll have a steward's inquiry as to what he shouted. But he did shout and make a step forward, which I think threw Mikael Hellick a little bit. And you can't blame Lee Nichols because of the wind. Mate, I'm 5'10", playing in goal. Wind is the worst. It's the absolute worst. It's the worst thing possible. So you sometimes stay at home safe. And then it's just a mess, innit? And Morgan Whittaker scores the worst goal of his career. Welcome back to the Championship, Cozzy.
Yeah,
not the greatest. Yeah.
the old keep the crowd quiet. Obviously, we're bouncing down there. First time back up for 11 years, and yeah, I think the frustrating thing for me, there were so many opportunities to cut it out. I really dislike. I've said it so many times over the years. I dislike people getting cheap. Like I like people to have to work their ass off to get a crossing or to cut in. And it was just so easy. But even then, there were three other times. Stop it. It was really weird that I kind of thought, has he slipped Nichols there? But it was kind of weird, like almost like a jelly legs, like Grobbelaar back in 1984, and he just like stood there. But yeah, and one for you, Matt, really here, and that is, if the ball goes in the goal as a goalkeeper, are you to ask, or is it totally different when it's a calamity as that? Does that hit you doubly as hard? Because I always think if someone smashes it in 25, 30 yards, you're thinking fair play as a player, but something like that could have been cleared a few times and bad decisions. Does that hurt you even more as a keeper or the defensive unit than just a normal goal, or is just a goal in your eyes?
Well, when you know you could have influenced it, when you know you could have done more, either with telling your defenders or yourself, yeah, you get smashed 25 yards, it's still a nightmare because you always think you can get to it. You always think it's there to be saved, no matter how it flies or thunderbolts into the corner. But what Matt's saying there, I think he could have called because the wind has taken it. He thinks he's going to go, then suddenly he thinks, I'm not going to get there. So he stays at home, and there's just a lot of indecision in that 6-yard box. They shouldn't be, though. The problem is they shouldn't have been indecision. The senior players in there. But your initial question, yes, it hurts a lot more when you know you could have done more with it and you know it's not right. So it's you know what I mean? It's tough for him. It's tough for Helic. But you've got to get on with it. You can't let it affect you, which it seemed to do in the second half because people were a bit tentative.
Not. I mean, I know it's cliche stuff, and there'll be just not a Neil Warnock type team goal giving away that. And I think the half time it'd be interesting to hear what he said. But it's like, yeah, you just stay strong, but everything but really that as well. And obviously, you two guys were in the stadium. The roof must have come off there and there. And that was a weird thing after that goal. I'm thinking, oh, okay, could be a difficult afternoon, but it was really strange. They didn't really kick on, and we kind of were winning the arm wrestle really without kind of,
without being over the top, excited.
Yeah, over the top. But I thought it was almost like they stopped thinking, oh, maybe it's not going to be as easy as we think. But yeah, what a gift that first goal, what nightmare stuff.
I know. But I thought we were the better side. But
when Helic scores, so obviously I think it was 51st minute. Obviously we got the new rules that have come in now, which I think I'm on board with. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure we can discuss it at a later date. But I thought it's comfortable. Second half, I thought, yeah, the most likely. I think I said it about 3 times on the radio. Most likely to go on and win this now is Huddersfield Town. They look comfortable. They're getting space. I thought down the right-hand side they were working really well together. Down the left-hand side, Ruffles was working well with Karoma. Not over the top, like Cozzy just said. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is a battering from Huddersfield Town on Plymouth. But it just looked
functional.
It looked comfortable. And then, obviously, you know what I mean? I know it's not December, but Christmas presents were chucked out very early on in the season. And wow, I've never seen a team back off so much in my life. Edmonds Green, he could have been in the sea. He backed off that far. I thought you've got to engage. Somebody's got to go and engage. You can't get turned inside out like that. So moving on to that second goal, it was, you watch it, and I looked at Oggy, and Oggy looked at me, then I looked at Louis, and I thought, has something happened? Has the whistle blown? But he's carried on playing, and everyone stopped because it looked weird. It didn't look right. I've seen it about 5 times today because they keep showing it everywhere. And you're thinking the opportunities to stop that lad, even if you tear him down 25 yards out, were there, and they didn't take them.
I'll come back to that. I just want to touch on some of the chances that we had at the end of the first half because I thought Town were not by far the better side, but comfortably the better team. And Jack Redoni misses the header. Danny Ward has a chance where it comes across and he has to side foot in and misses the ball. Josh Karoma should score at the far post from Zorba Thomas's cross. You'd put money on Josh Karoma to hit the target. And then Town's goal, obviously, you have to give credit to Brahima Diarra there because he skips really well away from the centre-back, doesn't he? And hits the post and Helic puts it in. But going into that second half as well, I thought Town were the better team. And it was without creating masses of opportunity. There's a lot of crosses coming in, a lot of set pieces, a lot of delivery, and the keeper dealt with things very well. And then obviously he delays on the ball and almost gives Diarra a gift. And that's perhaps the frustrating thing about Diarra, where you see he's such a great talent. But you just saw you see in the first half, he hits the post. And there he has that snapshot, whereas he just needs to roll it to Radoni, and Radoni's rolling it into an open net. And that's the point where I think where the game kind of slips away from us. But that goal is just, I think maybe this comes down to Warnock's man marking system, because you see where people are on the pitch. Sorba Thomas to be fair, he's getting absolutely ravaged online, isn't he, for Sorba Thomas for this? And I think it's a little bit over the top.
It is over the top, yeah.
He should pull his man down, yes, okay.
But you can't.
It gets
but he's
pace,
running into traffic,
personally.
though, man. He's running into traffic. So
well, he should be, but the traffic's not there, is it?
Exactly. The
Google Maps says it's not there. Yeah.
It was like the opposite of the M1 on Friday afternoon. You know what I mean? There's so much more that could happen before Thomas. I thought Thomas did all right on Saturday. I was quite happy with him, actually.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
on Saturday. But defenders are there to defend. You know what I mean? The defender's running at you. Somebody's got to go and engage. Happened a couple of times. I think Matty Pearson going off had a bigger effect than we think as well.
Yeah,
to be fair, when Edmonds Green went back into central defence, I don't quite think it works with him playing in a two with anyone, to tell you the truth. In there, I'm not quite sure he's up to that position in the Championship against pace. I just think Thomas, yes, could have done something, but so much more could have been done after they've run past him. It was crazy.
It's weird because Tom Edwards is the man stood inside, and he just kind of watches Mumba run past him, doesn't he? And Roman Edmonds Green, like you say, is 10 yards deeper than the rest of the back line, and it's just
and he took a shoulder as well.
Mess all around, isn't it? It's everything's just a mess, and it just looks like it's the man marking system, because Radoni goes out to the flank to follow his man. Edwards is a little unsure where he's supposed to be because he's covering for Radoni, and then Roman Edmonds Green, I'm not sure.
But Matt, this is where you got to make
decisions. Centre back, so I'm not sure what he's trying to do. But it's I want to stick up for him, but I don't think I can.
No, you can't. No, but the thing is, as a professional footballer, you have to decide, right? Do I stick to team rules, or I can see the danger now? I can spot the danger. Ruffles did it a couple of times in the second half, I think it was, where he stepped away and he's gone and done some decent clearances because he's gone, I'm going to have to leave my man because there's too much danger in front of me. And the one who's going to score is the man in the 18-yard box who's running towards the goal with the ball. He's the danger man, not the geezer or an off-man or anyone else. And you have to make a split-second decision. Right, I know what the gaffer wants me to do, but he's going to score. I've got to go and engage him. I've got to go and affect this chance that's being created right now. And unfortunately, they didn't spot the danger, and we saw what happened.
2 bad goals, Cozzy, eh?
Shocking, mate. But the thing that you're always, as a town fan, I was saying when I'm watching it, says all the evidence points to another win here, but you know what's going to happen. They're going to have a moment, and it's just gifts and that as well. I think the one thing that worries me this season, Matt, is the pace.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they spent some good money down there as well, but that Kessler, Aiden, Randall, and Mumba, they were so quick and just that
Hardy for his goal.
Yeah. I mean, it was embarrassing, really, just that the slowness of those. It looked like almost like a Premier League kind of non-league cup tie. You know, we see some of those highlights as well, and yeah, you've got to say fair play to Mumba. Some of the reaction over the top of the Plymouth people, what a goal! And I suppose you would get a bit carried away, but
yeah, if you score
maybe
that,
maybe I've got my town blue and white glasses on, but to me, it was just awful. And
but going to the question, if you look at the starting 11, who's got your raw pace in that 11? Diarra, maybe.
Diarra, yeah.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to the bench. Yeah. You go to the bench. Oh, you got some good players on there. Kieran Harrick's quick, but not Mumba quick. You're not talking wow. No. You know what I mean? Open the gates. He's coming. There is definitely if the lone players are going to be coming in, we might get into this later on, but there's got to be some pace put into that team because at times it did look a little bit pedestrian. Although they did play well in large
The thing is, though, Matt, it's like them tight games and level pegging, 20 minutes to go. Something like that's going to win you a game, mate, and we haven't got that, and that does worry me a little bit, especially now we've got 8 outfield subs on the bench. It's honestly, I know I bigged him up last couple of weeks, but Pat Jones I think he could be huge for us. But
it was great when he came on. I thought it was really good. Yeah, really good.
But yeah, no, fair play, and it was one of those we were reeling, weren't we, for that second, and then all of a sudden, bang, the third goes in, and yeah, the job's done. But it's I can't. It sounds bad, this big. I kind of thought we lost to not a very good team, to be honest with you, and give them the leg up. Yeah. I thought if they'd have kicked on when they were 1-up, I thought, and took command, but they never did, and it's almost like they paid a lot of respect to Neil Warnock. But I just thought we were a bad one to lose that. I know it's the first game, newly promoted team. You could have argued, against it, but I predicted a 1-1 before the game, and it probably should have been really, but their
keeper was all over the place. They should have recognised that as well. He was absolutely all over the place. He made a couple of decent saves, but he was absolutely all over the place. He made a couple of decent saves, but he should have been absolutely got at. There should have been shots flying in, closing every single back pass down because, say, he gave Diarra the ball back. He was trying to be clever. You could see he was a little bit nervy on the day, this Hazard we're talking about here. And I just thought, you can see him. You can see him shriveling. You can see him struggling. Get at him. You know what I mean? Put him under some pressure. Get some shots at him. When you can see someone's game struggling like that, you've got to go at him. His kicking was very indifferent in that second half against the Wind as well. And I just thought, again, that recognising, like I went back to a minute ago, the defending, recognise the danger, recognise when someone's not having a good day, and get after them.
Yeah, but again, Matt, and it goes back to we ain't got a striker in, mate, through the door, and that could have been a different Saturday, and we ain't got that ball playing 8-10 and that as well. And I think that hurt us on Saturday, to be honest, mate.
Rodoni's got a lot of work to do. I
thought he was our best player, mate.
But he's not. But not doing what he needs to do, though. If you watch him as a full 90, he's supposed to be a goal scoring midfielder. Obviously, the old 50p head incident when he's right in the 6-yard box and he manages to put it 10 yards wide. But for me, he should be creating more chances and he should be getting more shots off. He's an attacking midfielder with goals. Apparently, he got 2 last year at the back end. I think he's got to do more.
Yeah,
I do as well. I don't want him as deep as that, though. To be honest, but I don't like the blend in our midfield. I really don't. I mentioned this in our preview show last week. I just don't. I don't like our midfield. For me, it's our midfield, which is our weakest area, not up front. Because I quite like Danny Ward. You know, he works hard. He's a decent player, but our midfield just doesn't have anyone who can dictate. I know you probably don't need it in a Neil Warnock team as much, but you've got David Kasumu, who's got good legs on him. I like David Kasumu. Gets up and down really well, but you've got no one who can sit on the ball and pick little angles, and we've not really had anyone like that for a long time. And for me, that was sadly lacking. Rodoni's not that player. He should be where Diarra is for me, and doing things higher up the pitch. But I think it is what it is at the minute, isn't it? And we've just got to let the club get on with it and get people in, and hopefully it looks a little bit different in a couple of weeks. And that killer third goal, Neil Warnock says it's offside. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely convinced. You can't really tell on the video. I thought the referee was pretty poor, to be honest. Diarra got wiped out 3 or 4 times during the game and he didn't get anything. But you can't blame that result on anything the referee's done. I think even if they don't get that third, I think they still beat us 2-1. It was just one of those games, wasn't it? Once they got that second, that was it.
It was mentioned that we didn't mention the offside enough during the commentary. Someone did say that to us, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I saw someone on the half turn, great ball through. And he's gone there. The linesman's perfectly in line. It wasn't. I don't think it was a hard decision. I would like to see it back and see on the video if it looks like he's offside. But for me, you've just given a man all the time in the world and all the space in the world for an easy through ball. He takes it well. He finishes well against the very.
Koroma loses it as well. Koroma lost it very easily as well in the build up to that as well, which is probably a little bit disappointing. But
would you have made any changes off the bench? It seemed to me. I get it's not the greatest bench the division's got, but again, we went, let's go goals behind and let's slink it on. But I would have changed it as well, mate. But it was too late.
Harrett should have come on earlier, to be honest. I thought that was one that I thought the game was crying out for Keane Harrett after about 65 minutes or so. I thought.
Yeah, I'd say so. I want to see him tomorrow night start as well, to be fair. But I thought there should have been changes because with that strong win they had against them, they needed to get some pace and get some directness on the pitch.
I'd have got Headley on there. Headley.
Kieran Harrett and Pat Jones would have done that.
Headley. Yeah, I'd have got him down the flank, mate. Someone just
Imagine huddling in that with that swirling wind. They'd have been panicking, wouldn't they? Like crazy.
Man, his confidence is up, isn't it? Why not, mate? But
I won't question Neil Warnock, though. To be fair,
no, 2 in 2 and 3 minutes, it just killed. If it had been 1, then maybe. But that second one, it was. Yeah, it made you think like 3-1. How did that happen? You were in a bit of a daze, but
when they scored that second, I was just like, "Where's that come from?" It's come from absolutely nowhere. I thought Plymouth were poor, to be honest. I didn't really think much of them. I thought they were a bit nervous with the first game up, but I liked the number 11 actually. I think it was Callum Wright, the one with the haircut.
Well, you've got to look how much work Nichols have to do in the second half. You know what I mean? Apart from the 2 goals, he's not made saves. He had a lot of kicking to do, a lot of back passes because they were closing down quite well. And apart from that, he's not really anything to do. So that's a scope of how much did it actually hurt them, apart from the 2 partings of the sea.
Yeah, it's a shame, but we shouldn't be surprised at Town losing again on the opening day. Since 2011, Huddersfield Town have won 2, drawn 2, lost 9, and we've not won a game on the opening day of the season since 2010 without David Wagner as manager. So anybody who expected Huddersfield Town to win should really have looked at the script. We don't win on the opening day of the season. It just doesn't happen unless David Wagner's the manager. All that pre-season optimism, we like to douse
Plymouth
that
to
fire.
get promoted as well? Well,
no, it's Leicester. It's the first
home game
at Huddersfield. Yeah, so Leicester City to win the league. Put your money on that for absolute fire. So you've heard from us. So what we'll do is one of our newer features. I'm going to try and keep up to this throughout the season. We've got an opposition view. So this is from the green end. This is Aaron from Argyle Life.
Hello, Aaron here, Argyle fan that jumped on your preview pod on Friday. Been asked to provide a review, so the preview and the review double. Honoured. Yeah, how'd it go? It was much better for us than for you, I can imagine. It was a good test to our first to our life back in the Championship, shall we say? I think if it wasn't for the brilliance of Barley Mumba and Morgan Whittaker, I would have said that we were pretty even. I would have think I was erring towards wanting to take a point, or happy to take a point, shall we say, on half time. I think you grew into the first half pretty well. And actually, I think I've changed my mind slightly on Huddersfield. And I get that everybody isn't 100% yet. And I could see that in some of your play, same as ours, really. I can see that you will grow into the season quite well. And, under Warnock, if he stays, I think you'll be fine. But back to the game itself, like I said, I think if it wasn't for Barley Mumba, who just absolutely tore past 5 of your men before finishing with a plum, I think you could have got a point out of that. I was very surprised that none of yours put a foot in. I think if it was me, I would want somebody to take a yellow there and just take him down and just slow that progress slightly. I think the new rules about time management, they worked in your favour in the first half, right? The 45 plus 6. But I think actually over the course of a season, that could be to your detriment, with the defensive mindset of Warnock. But apart from that, I think it was a good, solid test. First game back in the Championship. Can't imagine we'll be in the third come what's May. But I, again, as I keep saying, good, solid test for us. Good to bed back into the Championship with a nice win at Home Park. I hope you all enjoyed your trip to Plymouth and managed to get down to the Barbican, like I suggested. The weather wasn't the best, but it was all right in the end. A bit windy, obviously, as you found out through the first goal. But yeah, well, I think you gifted us that one. We nearly gifted you one with our keeper's distribution, his first start for Argyle. And I think he's divided the fan base somewhat with his playing ability, but 2 fine reflex saves. I think Josh Corona should have had one, put it into the side netting, and I think that would have changed the game as well. But all in all, good game all round. I'm not as concerned for Huddersfield as I was, and I think you might be fine because QPR look awful, but that's everything for me. And good luck for the rest of the season. Cheers.
Okay, so thanks a lot to Aaron. So we'll try and do that more throughout the season as it goes on as well. So Brady was on the button on Twitter as well, on social media. He's upped his Twitter game as Brady this year. He's definitely topped mine. Mine's really slack at the minute. But he posted out just after the full-time whistle to try and get some reaction from Town fans as well. So I'll read some out. So one of the things that Town fans wanted from us in terms of the podcast was to get more voices and different opinions. So we're going to try and do that. So if you guys want to fly in here, you can do at any point. Bryony said we was shocked at Huddersfield Town having 48% possession. If Huddersfield Town have had 48% possession, then obviously we've had a decent game because we don't delay on the ball much, do we? So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Mick Orwin says another relegation struggle unless we get a midfielder and a centre forward in quickly. Martin Hoyland just succinctly put shit. Scott Hamilton.
There's a shot.
Scott Hamilton said they played the conditions far better than us. I think I disagree with Scott on that. I thought we played it better than Plymouth. It's just we made those errors, didn't we? We made that individual mistakes. But I thought over the 90 minutes
and the ball was on the floor when we scored.
Yeah, I thought we're a better aerial team than Plymouth, but we probably, like you say, Matt, we probably didn't use it to our maximum advantage. I think there's a couple of Thomas corners wished across, and they look quite threatening, but probably not enough for that. Stuart Kent says, "Come on, man! It's the first game of the season. New owner, and I can guarantee a shed load to sort out behind the scenes. So trust that they will get it sorted. It's a long old season. Get behind them." I don't think we said anything otherwise, Stuart, but we get the sentiment. Ben Arundel says first and second goals were very soft to concede. Multiple players at fault for each. Heads went for the third, by which point the game was gone. Plymouth didn't outplay us, however, they took their chances. If Diarra scored at 1-1 when the keeper fumbled, it's a different story. And I think Ben's probably just said there in a couple of lines what we've just said in 20 minutes. So well done, Ben. Colorado Terrier says a clear and pointed sign that the team needs investment. And if there's really good people in the back room, then start showing it with needed signings. Terrier Dave says problem is obvious from that graphic. We had far too much possession. Didn't know what to do with the ball, and we had it too much. Bob Holness didn't think it was great. I'm not gonna read out exactly what Bob said, but he's having a crafty one, is Bob. Well, so Andrew Regminator says indefensively shocking defending, and then it's pretty much a load of expletives from Dean Ball and a couple of others. Michael Amiga says quality players finish chances. We have no quality. Will Briley Hill says utter, 6 hours for nothing. I'm paraphrasing. So this is what happens when you ask the question: is it direct after the full time whistle? You get it full and raw, and I'm sure we've had a couple of days to calm down after this, and I'm sure people will probably reflect and think, do you know what, the performance wasn't that bad, but yeah, quality wise, we're probably just lacking at the minute. But we'll move on, and what we'll do now is we'll take a little break, and then we'll come back in a moment. Okay, so I've got a couple of discussion points for this week, guys. So the first discussion point really is around signings, and the one that we made, which is Tom Edwards. I felt on the day that Tom Edwards actually did quite well. I quite liked it. I know Bali Mumba was absolute live wire, wasn't he? So he was very difficult to contain for all of us, everyone there. But I think when you my feeling on the day was that he did quite well. His support play was pretty good. He got up and down really well. He put a couple of decent crosses in. He's made 2 key passes, 2 tackles, 1 interception, 13 long balls with 6 accurate. But he does hit a good diagonal ball, which we saw against Heerenveen. He lacks a little bit of pace, but I don't know if that's just match fitness coming in, with him not playing so much the Stoke and that injury at Barnsley last season. But I quite liked him, and then I watched the highlights back on goal 1 and 2, and I was like, But I think overall, my gut feeling on the day was he did quite well, Matt. But I didn't mind what I saw, to be honest.
Yeah, just slightly going what you just said there. I think we could say that about everyone. Everyone did all right, and then you watch the goals back and you go, But yeah, I agree. I think he looks a nice footballer. He's got a good range of passing. We've talked about that before. Like, there's not enough quality sometimes coming in those long ball areas, getting it into good areas nice and quick. You're right. He's not the quickest in the world. He tried to do an overlap, didn't quite get there. But I think as a defender and as someone who does actually get involved up front, puts crosses in, he's got the long throw, obviously, as well. That'll get used, I'm sure, throughout the season. But he looks a solid footballer. As the games go on, I'd like to see him play tomorrow night as well, get some more matches or play some part in the game tomorrow night, get him as fit as possible and see what kind of player they have actually signed.
What do you reckon, Cos? You've seen him a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, just steady away, mate. Not the sexiest signing, I don't think, ever, but it's, I don't think he'll...
He's a very Warnock player, isn't he?
Yeah, I find it interesting that it's just like a loan till the end of the season, really. So what are Stoke saying? Are they kind of like, oh, what are Huddersfield saying? Can they not afford him? Are Stoke thinking they might get him back for next season? It's just a bit of a strange one to me for him to do that. But yeah, I didn't see much wrong. Again, just like a lot of our backline, mate, not blessed with pace, really. But yeah, I think he'll be an asset, really. But I think just the market we're shopping in and these confusing messages about FFP or constraints or what have you. These are the types of guys that we like. But yeah, like we said last week, Stoke fans, see you later. We're glad we got rid of him. Barnsley fans, he were brilliant for us. So yeah, but no, I thought he could have done better. I don't like people getting cheap, easy crosses in from the sidelines. But he's only going to improve in it though, and that as well. So I think that's the main thing. But yeah, nice easy game against Leicester Saturday. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, for Tom Edwards? We're flying through the podcast today. The second sort of discussion point I've got is on Kevin Nagel and Kevin Nagel's social media activity. He's tweeting. I to be honest find him a bit of a breath of fresh air on Twitter. He's not afraid to get into it with people, as Poz found out. I quite like the guy. I thought the answer he gave about getting his wallet out was incredibly good. In terms of communication, I thought that was a fantastic tweet, and that's the kind of thing football fans want to see, isn't it? They want to see there's a little bit of defiance in there. There's clarity. There's facts. I thought that was a great tweet, and I thought that's probably one of the best I've seen from a Huddersfield Town end.
It is,
and he set an expectation level as well, which I liked. I do worry that him sometimes getting into it with other fans can lead to a pile-on. So, for example, him and Pozza, I thought Pozza raised some concerns. Whether you agree with him or not, that's by the by. There was a joke that was maybe lost in translation about the bare knuckle thing, which was a joke. And the to and fro was fine, but what I didn't like is it doesn't need a white knight syndrome of people coming in to abuse Pozza. I thought that was completely out of order from some Town fans to come in and, it's not on. Debate him, tell him he's wrong. Great. Call him names. No, grow up. And the same goes the other way with Kevin Nagel. Don't ruin a good thing and keep the conversation cordial as well. Don't start tweeting him and calling him names. Don't be that person. As it is at the minute, it's fine. It's cordial. It's good. Don't ruin it, please. I think is what.
Let's not forget this is social media. You know what I mean? You're talking. There's a lot of numpties on there, as we all know, who haven't got a clue. But are still living in the mum's basement. So there's a lot of that, as well as the people like ourselves who will have a debate, who will talk about it sensibly. You've got all the idiots that can, and you know what I mean. I'm surprised they even know how to download Twitter. But it's good at the minute. I don't want him oversharing though, because he doesn't have to overshare. I don't want to know everything, because you know what? A lot of it won't be good. So I don't want to know every single thing that's happening at the club. It's good that he shares, come out, be open about certain things. But I think, when you're a fan or when you're talking about it, certain things have to be kept inside the club, I think as well. And don't get in arguments with fans, because you won't win, because they'll keep going and going and going. No matter what you say, there'll always be an answer for them as well. So yeah, you can start the debate, you can enjoy it for a little while, but know when to put the phone down and say, yeah, that's me done for the night. Thanks everyone for coming.
Go on, Cos.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting one, because obviously the guy's not going to be in the country that many times. So I think he's going to want to feel like he's keeping his finger on the pulse and a connection with the fans. So I think you're going to expect a lot of this. And obviously the football in America seems to be a little bit kind of different. And the Sacramento people said they loved the interaction with, Kevin Nagel as well. But I just, it's exhausting for me. It's up to him how he wants to use his social media. No one tells me how I should use mine, so why should we tell him how to use his? But I must admit, I get a bit exhausted every game. That if we win, people, well done, Kevin. If we lose, get stuck into him. Is this what's going to be a soap opera every other game and as well? And it just it gets me kind of a bit exhausted, really. But obviously it's good to have interaction. Part of me wonders if that account will still be active in December, but. If we get knocked out by Middlesbrough tomorrow, again, it's people are going to be piling in. Then it's. But to be fair, he says he's a kind of a big guy, and he's
up for a scrap. I admire that.
But I like that. Yeah, I don't mind that. But what I say is, just know when to say, right, I'm done for the night. That's it. Because it gets to a point where it becomes nonsense, and the argument just becomes forgotten about, and you don't know why you started it. That's what I'm saying. Get out there, put your facts out there. Have a bit of debate with a couple of them if you want, but no, like you talk about the pylons and things like that. Realise when that's coming and go. Thanks everyone. Good night. I'll see you in the next game. So it's good and it's great and it gives us something to talk about and it's interesting. But I wouldn't want to see too much of it because, as I say, that percentage of numbskulls on there, it can make it quite a tricky place.
The thing is, though, the Championship's a brutal beast, isn't it?
It is,
and this guy is learning on the job, and it's full of enthusiasm, but learning on the job. This isn't League Two and messing about it. This is big business. We're playing Leicester Saturday, £18 million signings. Expectations massive, and it is, unfortunately, he's going to learn from mistakes. You just hope, obviously, with Cartwright in there, and to a lesser extent maybe Edwards, who's not. Again, he's pretty young to this. This is the problem, really. We've got a management team who, I suppose, Cartwright a bit different, but we've got like a management team who are really learning. Most of it are learning the trade, how a club's run, and this is like Championship football. It's going to be, it's just going to be a big learning curve, and obviously it worried me a little bit with what Warnock was kind of saying in the press conference on Thursday about. Sounds like we've had knockbacks galore, from people. Why is that? And the thing I'm really confused with, again, hopefully on Thursday night down at Magic Rock, it might be answered this, but we heard it's about FFP. Then it's saying today it's kind of
I can answer that.
Been wrong. It's like and is it? I'm just worried we're going to be getting players in. We're going to be a tough. So we're not going to pay great, and a lot of people probably won't want to work under Neil Warnock. So I'm a bit concerned with that, though, if I'm being honest with you, mate.
It does it's done. I haven't had a chance to listen to it properly. I listened to the first half of it, and then I went to pick up my 5-year-old and had him rambling on about WWE wrestling all the way back. So I didn't quite hear the second, but he has done a 30-minute podcast with Stephen Chicken, which is worth everyone's time. It's very good. Stephen does a great job, as he always does, on it. And the first half of it is really good. And Stephen asks the right questions, as you would expect him to do, and he gives a little bit of clarity on the financial situation. There's a Mike Fotheringham one for you, Matt, on the financial situation. And he mentions that it's not strictly down to, he doesn't mention FFP, but the business plan. So there's a new independent financial regulator that she's sort of milling around the Football League at the minute. And if anyone's interested, it's on the EFL website with an explanation how it's an independent regulator that they're trying to help to bring FFP, people's finances in order. And what you have to do is before every season, you have to submit a business plan with your expenditure and what you're due to spend, what you're due to lose, etc., and stick rigidly to that.
How can you do that? How can you do that when someone comes in and buys one of your place for £10 million?
Well, apparently there's enough wiggle room then to use that 10 million to do whatever you want.
Right. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that 10 million is, by the way. But yeah, that was just
no, not for us. Yeah,
Edmund's Green on Saturday's efforts.
No, but this business plan is what they've submitted. It's not clear whether it's the one that was submitted by whether it was submitted when they did the takeover, but it seems to be that the business plan can be adjusted after as you expect after the window's closed for the January window, so that they can be a little bit more sort of trying to find the right word there, but they can spend more money essentially is where I'm going in January. But for the rest of August, they're probably a little bit tight around the belt. But it's like I say, if no one's listened to it, go listen to it on Who to Be a Terry. It's a really good little interview. And he does mention there that it's due to the business plan submitted, not strictly financial fair play, which I didn't think it was, because Town have only lost a couple of £1 million last year, and before that they made £2.5 million, didn't they? So
we paid on that August bonfire, didn't we?
So I think this might be tricky, but I would still expect a couple of people to leave. Jordan Rhodes, maybe, just by the way he's been utilised at the minute. I'd probably expect Jordan Rhodes to go. Conor Mahoney, if someone will take him, I imagine will go. So there's probably still players ready to go out, and I'm sure players will come in. The documentary is really interesting if you're a bit of a nerd like me. So Nagelflix, we'll call it. He's done 2 episodes, haven't he, so far, about him buying Huddersfield Town Football Club. And the second one's quite interesting because it gives you a small insight into that he didn't have much time to sort of purchase the football club. Maybe they've over-egged, I don't know, maybe they've over-egged it slightly to make it dramatic, I'm not sure. But they've got around about 10 to 14 days or so to buy Huddersfield Town before before they potentially go into administration or there's a deadline. And it doesn't give Kevin Nagel much chance to sort of build a business plan, build a plan to put everything, to get all his ducks in order. So he's essentially had to fly by the seat of his pants, really, by the club, and then say, right, now this is what we're going to do. And I thought that was quite good for me, because you kind of half expect someone to come into it with an idea of, right, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to achieve it. But it's completely the opposite of that, in that, right, here's a football club. Do you want it? Yes or no? You've got a couple of weeks, you've got a week to decide. It's like, yes, I'll take it. Right, now what do we do? And I think,
where is it?
Yeah. So I think for me, seeing that, it made me immediately go, oh, right, okay. Maybe all these people that are at him on social media, I don't mean Pos, but the other ones who are a bit more intense with him, need to just draw back a little bit and realize that
Do some
he's not
homework.
a chance. Yeah, well, yeah, they've not had a chance to really put put everything in place, but the plans are coming, and they mentioned the academy as well. They're bringing the academy back. I think it might be 14 plus initially, and then the year after they may go younger, which is a good move, in my opinion, because I don't like the structure that they've got at the minute. I don't mind it if they before the GBE rules, where they couldn't go out and purchase Diarras and Kamaras anymore. Before that, I thought it maybe had legs, but they're bringing that back. So there are definitely things there, and there are definitely things to listen to. If so I do suggest people watch the documentary. I know it might be a little bit, without being offensive, a bit American maybe for some people. I enjoyed it. Some people might not, but it's useful. And the podcast with Stephen is incredibly useful as well. So I would say to people, go and listen to it. It's really good. And Kevin Nagel comes across brilliantly as well in the podcast with Stephen, and it's really good. And also, Cozzy, this Thursday night, there's a Q&A down at Magic Rock with Kevin Nagel and the Cowshed Loyal. If I didn't mention that, General Grievous would cast one of his murderous stares at me. So make sure you get yourself down to Magic Rock this Thursday. And if you've got a question for Kevin Nagel, go ask him. He'll answer it. He's pretty engaging. Go ask him. He'll answer it. I've talked a lot there. You guys jump in about.
I think the thing is, for me, is again, if we win on Saturday, everyone thinks great, and it's like it's always going to come down to results. People not bothered about having an under 14s again and stuff like that. So your normal man who comes out of the Vulcan, just at half two, after 3 or 4 pints, they'll just view everything, and just on 90 minutes they won't be bothered about that pan. That
shouldn't be at the Vulcan, cause it should be at Magic Rock. That's what
I dare go in after all them Dutch ultras were in a couple of weeks ago and that as well. But it's that P word, patience in football. People not going to have it and that as well. And I think. Again, Matt, I don't think that does us any favours. Leeds being back in our division, I always think that's a big thing. If they're doing well, and
they've got the parachute payments. I think people are big enough to realise that.
I think that Premier League squad. I don't think really we're being overly critical about anything. I think we're talking really about defensive mistakes. I think that's basically what we're talking about here, and the fact that they were doing all right. They're away at Plymouth, a long way from home, against a newly promoted side who've spent, $1 million or two themselves and brought some real pace in. That they were comfortable in the game until uncharacteristic mistakes were made by people. So I don't think we are getting too overly critical or overexcited about what's going on.
No, I meant more the social media side. But
no. I mean, no. But I'm saying us in general, and also some of the fans I spoke to. Obviously, again, you still got the people that are going to go over the top. But there's no big, There's no big disaster. There's no big nightmare going on. It's just like Cozzy said. Let's just get to the next couple of games and see where we are. If this continues for 4 and 5 games, and people are throwing them in, and it's not going well, and you can see no cohesion in the side, and the chance creation is disappearing, and goals aren't going in, then we'll rip into them and say something needs to change. But as it stands, a couple of stupid goals, and it's just and it's a bit of a shit show really. But apart from that, I think the business in the summer's been good. With Edwards who's come in, the chief exec who's come in, they've both played the game as well. They've both played a good amount of actual football league as well as gone off to other clubs and done other things. I think there's a decent little backroom Stafford team coming together. They've just got to make sure that the product on the pitch is worth watching. You can put all these plans in place, like we said, and you can bring all these people in that are good and have all this cohesion behind the scenes. But like I always say, match day is the most important day of the week.
Yeah, like we were saying last week, though, Matt. It's just like there's only probably Kamara that had been, gutted to leave. Really, the rest of the people that disappeared in the summer, I wasn't
Yeah.
too bothered, to be honest.
No,
I'd ask
Yeah.
Matt about Bilokopich, because I was disappointed Bilokopich left. Not for now, but for 2 years down the line, I was disappointed. Not for today, but for tomorrow. I was disappointed by that.
Yeah. I think he will have been as well. I think he expected to just go on loan again for a little while, get a contract, because he is definitely someone for the future. I think he had a solid debut as well for Peterborough at the weekend.
Yeah, he did well. Yeah, he did really
as well. And yeah, he was definitely someone I'd have kept on and just kept giving him games, another division for a little while and see where he goes. He might have taken up from Nichols. They might have got some money for him. Yeah, I did find that peculiar. And then bring in Maxwell, who has been a decent keeper, and I think David Wagner was interested in him a little while back because he's great with his feet and he's a good keeper, but he's not one for the future, is he?
No, unless Lee Nichols goes in the next few weeks, then it's the immediate future. But let's hope that doesn't happen or tempt that fate, because that would be a little upsetting. But Luton, who were interested, have signed Kaminsky from Blackburn, so I think that might have just
I was pleased to see that.
Yeah, I was as well. That was certainly good. So, but yeah, that's it really with the two discussion points. The last thing I've got is an away day log. So what I want to do is a new feature. Every time Huddersfield Town have an away game, I want Huddersfield Town fans to do an audio log, or you can do a video one if you want, for us about your away day travels. So to set the mood, I've done one again here in Vane, and I've done one for Plymouth as well. So I'll plug that in now and let you listen to it. Hello everyone, it's your pod host Matt here on Thursday. Just stopped off at the Gloucester service station on the way down to Plymouth, and I've raided the farm shop for some reduced pies. So whatever the score this weekend, I am officially winning. So this is a new feature for this season. On away days, I'd like to turn this over to you guys, the fan base, for you to entertain us with your escapades as you travel away from home up and down the country. I'm sure some of you get into some scrapes, some quite amusing situations. So I'm sure it'll be far more entertaining than anything I can do, but I thought I'd kick us off. So here we go. Okay, it's Friday and I'm sat on a beach in Loo, and my phone is going absolutely batshit crazy because Poz and Kevin Nagel are getting into it on Twitter. I can't see either side of this coming out particularly well, but here's one thing to cheer Poz up. I got 67 miles per gallon on the way down to Plymouth, only using half a tank, so as a fellow tight Yorkshireman, I'm sure that'll please Poz immensely and cheer him up. Right, just walking to the game in gale force winds at the minute. My hair is absolutely all over the place. Slightly concerned that my 5-year-old is going to blow away in this, but just seen the team, not bad. Let's get into the town. Oh, the town, come on. Right, Charlie, we're in the ground. What score do you think it's going to be today?
1-0.
Who to?
Huddersfield.
Who's going to score?
Sorba Thomas.
Sorba Thomas. Are you going to do the Sorba Thomas song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorba Thomas had a great fun.
Right, just walking away after the game. Initially disappointed, to be honest. I didn't think Plymouth were any great shakes, and some bad mistakes our end has seen us lose a game that we probably shouldn't have. Time to go console ourselves on the pier, I think. Pint for me, ice cream for the boy, and a 6-hour drive home. Would I do it again? Yeah, absolutely. Up the Right, okay, so don't crucify me too much for that away day log there. But seriously, I want a lot of Huddersfield fans, we want your voices on here as much as ours. So anybody who fancies doing something like that, please get in touch and we will sort that out
Matt,
with you as soon as
probably
possible.
Hijacking your away day log, but I put a tweet out last week. Who would have thought that Leeds United would have the lowest away prices, regardless of whether they're back down or not? They have the lowest away prices for the whole of the
They don't though, do they?
weekend.
They don't.
Well, no, for this match. But
for this weekend,
against
yes.
Cardiff City, and then again, honestly, I don't know about you. I just sighed at Middlesbrough, £32. It's like that's an area we are in employment. I don't. Why are clubs still doing it? I think they were about.
Wait till you go to Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, it's 45, is it something?
I can't remember what they were. I'll get it back. I'll have a look again and shout them out. It's just like, honestly,
40 odd. Yeah,
like,
Leeds is 40 odd unless they do reciprocal pricing, and those prices are discreet. I can actually see why I don't stick up for Leeds United a lot, Because
Here we go. Yeah, Wednesday were £36 for Southampton. Coventry played 35 at Leicester. QPR 32 at Swansea. Ipswich 32 at Sunderland. Middlesbrough 32 at Millwall. 31-0 at Norwich. 30 Preston at Bristol. And then ours 26. West Brom 25 at Blackburn. 25 at Stoke for Rotherham. And 21 at Cardiff for Leeds. But what, 36, £35? What in this division? Bloody hell, man. Why can't clubs just get the brains together, man, and then you see these stupid Facebook away day things like there's about 150, 300 Millwall somewhere or 400 Huddersfield.
That does
hang
mean
on a minute, people are struggling to feed the families. What?
Yeah.
Football clubs are thick,
Yeah,
man. I
so
just don't get it. It's so frustrating.
I was going to say, cause I don't stick up for Leeds a lot, but I can see what they've done here because Leeds United fans tend to get ripped off a little bit when they go away from home because they have that large following, don't they? So people have in the past taken advantage of that and charged them the A-star platinum pricing, whatever they do. And Leeds United, they have gone, do you know what? If you're going to rip us off, we're going to rip you off. And, fair play to them, I think.
And
on that one,
the Southampton, they took there must have been 3,000 or 4,000 there at Hillsborough on Friday night, getting up at that time. And fans, I think that's half of the problem, isn't it? People will just pay whatever. It's just like, what's going on?
They're quite giddy like Burnley. I think that's the thing when you come down from the Premier League and your team's decent. Well, no, unfortunately, ours wasn't. But all of a sudden, you're like, we're going to win some games here. This is quite exciting.
Yeah.
Burnley fans were so excited last season, weren't they, about winning games?
Rightly so.
And playing football. They absolutely had the time of their lives, didn't they? Whereas I think Southampton are probably thinking that this year might be their year to
at the Championship. Both I watched that Leicester game on yesterday and that one on Friday night. It's like there were a massive gulf between the two sides on the Southampton possession and everything, but Wednesday nearly got a draw out of that. And if you look at the two teams, they had no right, and now kind of the first 75 minutes did. And yesterday, Leicester, to be fair, turned it around late, bit of quality from Dewsbury, but again, Coventry, obviously, they playoff final heartbreak last year, but that's the beauty of this division, isn't it? It's like Saturday, Leicester. We're not doing a preview, but there's not be many that'll be putting a Huddersfield time to get anything out of that game. But you just
I did.
know,
I've already done the preview show with Brady. This is trade secrecy, but I did the preview show with Brady and Tom earlier, and I have predicted Huddersfield to beat Leicester 2-1. It was a brave one. I don't know. I fancied Huddersfield to lose against Plymouth and beat Leicester for the last few weeks. I don't know why. I just fancy us to shock them. It's based on absolutely no sense, no reasoning, no analytics. Football. It's based on nothing but blind faith and hope in my football team, and that's it. And it's just, I just think sometimes with teams coming down from the Premier League, the best time to get them is right away at the start at your place. And I just think maybe it's the best time to play Leicester. If they murder us, that's fine. It's still the best time to play them, I think.
My mum sent me a text on Sunday morning. She'd read an article about Sunderland Ipswich, and they were doing obviously a big thing with Marcus Stewart and Moulton Neuron, as he's obviously played for both teams, and she's a bit upset by it. And I really hope that Kevin Nagel and I think someone tweeted about something, but it's heartbreaking, isn't it, to see this? And I really hope that we at Huddersfield do something to show our support. Obviously, people know how much the Rhinos, the stuff they've done for Rob Burrow is incredible, mate. And it's like you galvanise the city. We really should be, supporting this guy, and such a cruel disease. But Ipswich again, unbelievable. Yes, they look a team them, don't they? But I just thought that's where I love football. I know I was disappointed there with the prices, but that's where when the community comes together, and supports, kind of one of their own. So I'm really hoping we're going to do something for Stu, and I'm sure we will.
Yeah, and keep an eye on the podcast. We're going to try and do something at some point. We've just got to formulate it together first. Me and Brady and Tom have had a quick chat about some stuff, but keep your eyes peeled for that.
QPR look in a mess. Mark, do you fancy a new job there when Ainsworth goes or what?
Well, when we do our predictions on the league, you'll see where I put QPR. So yeah, I don't mind Ainsworth. I quite like him. I think he's a decent character, but it's not happening. Not happening from there. Last season was a disaster.
He's not doing much better up there.
No, I'm in a championship chat group with other content creators and stuff, and it's quite interesting to see them talk about QPR and how Ainsworth, I almost called him Lionel Ainsworth, and how Gareth Ainsworth at Wickham had a number of big characters that he depended on, like your likes of Akin Fenwer, etc. And the QPR fan was saying we don't have any characters like that here, which is why they're struggling, and that was quite interesting. So maybe he needs a couple of those big ones. Neil Warnock said the same thing when he came to us as well. Maybe big characters. the likes of, John Terry and the likes of Matt Glennon don't exist anymore, as much, in terms of football teams, because they all seem to be quite nice boys a lot of the time these days.
Well,
Maybe that's me getting older.
It's getting less and less because people don't talk. They'll send you if they could do a text message or a Snapchat on the pitch, I think they would at times if they could all carry the phones. And it's the big characters, the big tackles, the big challenges, the puffing the chest out and getting stuck in and playing injured as well. It is going down and down and down. Unfortunately, it is going to be a different game over the next few years. Yeah, the big airy ass, bloody centre halves and things like that. Now they're all footballers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very different now. And even you know what I mean. Like your John Terry's you're talking about there. They were phenomenal players as well as great leaders, and they're just I don't know. The place is very quiet. I noticed it during COVID when we were in the stadiums, obviously all the time with no fans, and it was quiet. It was so quiet on the pitch. Thinking, who's talking? Where are the leaders? Who's shouting and screaming? And there was nothing. There was nothing. Quiet as a mouse. When there's only 22 players on the pitch and then another 50 people in the stadium, you really hear everything. And it was shocking, the silence.
Yeah, maybe that's something the academies need to look at. Maybe it's something our academy will look at, is creating leaders. That'd be interesting.
Anger management on the other way around. Yeah, so you get more angry. That's what
exactly.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
You need
reverse anger management. Yeah,
I've not heard what you think. What would be a good season in your eyes for Town at the end of it? Just as the shape of a club and where we'd finish, obviously not relegate. What would you like to be the ending really for us?
I'd like with 6 to 8 games to go, with an outside chance of nicking into a 6. That's what I'd say right now. If they don't bring anyone else in, it'd be 10, and that'd be it. Because I do think there's good players in that squad. I've said it all along. I just want to make sure Warnock doesn't lose interest. You know what I mean? He stays as enthusiastic as he was last season, because it's a very different contrast from being a firefighter, backs against the wall. Everyone wants us to lose, to starting the new season with a bit of expectation on a man that's won so many promotions. So I want the interest to stay high. I want the fans' interest to stay high, and just let these players actually show us what they can do a little bit more, and just see if they are any good, or are we just banging our head against the wall and thinking, your Karomas and your Thomases and Radonis aren't maybe as strong as we thought they were. I want to see them kick on this year. They had a tough year last year, mentally and physically, with obviously the change in management, having a man that was absolutely clueless in charge, who couldn't even put a training session on, to to them having Neil Warnock coming in. So there's a lot of contrast, a lot of learning, and I just want to see that learning come through. I want to see these players taking a bit of responsibility and thinking, you know what, I am a player. We did achieve last year, and I want to kick on with Huddersfield Town, or I want to move on somewhere else. But if you don't do it on the pitch for Huddersfield Town, you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like with summing up, really, we played well, I thought, on Saturday, but just mistakes killed us. So it wasn't as if, because a lot of people at work say, were you poor on Saturday? Says, no, we won. And it's like that, so that gives me a lot of heart. But I love like the David Goliath job on Saturday, the budgets, the Leicester will be buzzing, and I love that kind of setup. That's Warnock.
I think Neil Warnock does. Yeah, that's why I think we might get something. It's just that feeling, whereby they're this a big club coming in, a bit of a swagger, and Neil Warnock's this kind of manager, and his teams like to just get in amongst you and give you a bloody nose.
Well, like Sheffield United last year, like when Borough were flying. Sheffield United, there was some big upsets last year. So there was, let's hope they can do it again. It's tough though. Leicester seem a club just, I don't know, they just get about the business, don't they? There's no big fanfare. There's no big this, that, everything else. They just seem to be right. We've been relegated. Let's get ourselves back up there again. So they're not coming with that arrogance, I don't think. I think the swagger's a good word, but I don't think there's any arrogance coming with Leicester. So I think it's quite a tough animal to beat, because I think they'll go about the job, and I think they'll go about it quite well this year.
I think we've got a bad record against them, haven't we, Leicester? I remember they've given some pace.
New Year's Day in the Prem wasn't great.
I remember them beating us 6-1 with Chris Wood played for them, didn't he? And
I remember at our place though.
Murray Wallace chased him.
I remember that season when I think Keegan Parker scored at their place, but I think Dyer scored for Leicester. I remember Vardy sliding on his knees in front of Cowshed, Loyal, in the big. Honestly, I don't. One for the statistics, there's only times when I saw Lillis. That was the time when he took his team down there in Cup and we beat him. But apart from that, it's been, it'd be a good time to turn that around on Saturday.
Right, I think that's all we've got time for this week, isn't it? Unless you've got anything else you want to bring up, Mr. Kosmala?
No, the pies are £4.50. That did you notice the price list come out yesterday? So Matt, I know you get your freebies in the VIP media room, but
Well, if I can get past
for
if I can get past Mel Booth, then I do. Yeah, Mel's a bit quick. Mel's a bit quicker than me these days.
Still got it as Mel. Still got the.
I'll still be
got the
buying
taste.
one. Hey, come on.
Right, nice one. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll be back
Cheers, fellas.
next week.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.